Welcome to the alumni chapter of Jamia Islamia in Germany. Today we are celebrating the UNESCO International Day of Light 2021. Welcome to the alumni chapter. The webinar is importance of light to the development of society. Today we have with us Zahid Husain Khan. He has been a professor of Jamia Islamia from November 1994 to January 2015. Where he joined as a lecturer in physics. So, in January 1976, and retired as professor in June 2013, following which he was reapplied by the university and he served till 2015. He obtained PhD, MPhil, MSc, and BSc degrees from Aligarh Muslim University. He has published more than 60 research papers in molecular spectroscopy in peer-reviewed international and national journals. He guided 15 research scholars leading to their PhD degrees. He served as the head of Department of Physics in Jamia Islamia from April 1995 to February 1998. Dr. Khan has been a Dart Fellow at the Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich, in Germany from 1980 till 1981 and Free University of Berlin from 1981 until 1982. Following declaration of the year 2015 by the United Nations as the International Year of Light and Light-Based Technologies, the UNESCO nominated Professor Khan as a national contact for India for IVL 2015. During IVL 2015, he was co-opted as a member of the steering committee of the International Working Group on Ibn al-Hazan, based in Paris in France. Subsequently, Ibn al-Hazan Lihisa International Society was formed, which was registered in Paris in January 2016, in which Dr. Khan was elected as the vice president of the society from 2016 until 2019. With the great success of IVL 2015, the UNESCO declared the May 16th as the International Day of Light, which was launched in its headquarters in Paris on May 16, 2018. For IDL 2018, Dr. Khan was again nominated by UNESCO as the National Node for India, which continued in 2019 to 2020 and 2021. Currently, Dr. Khan is National Node for India for IDL 2021. Welcome, Dr. Khan. I don't see him.
First of all,
I don't see your video. Could you please turn on your camera?
I have some problem with the, I think, let me see.
Okay, try to resolve the problem. Then let me introduce Dr. Vikas Rana. Dr. Vikas Rana received his PhD from Delft University of Technology, Netherlands in 2006. And then he worked at Philips Semiconductor Nijmegen and IMEC Eindhoven. From 2008 to 2011, he served Indian Institute of Technology in Delhi as an assistant professor. Since 2011, he has been leading an emerging non-volatile memory (NVM) technology group at Forschungszentrum Jülich GmbH. His main research interests include neuromorphic computing based on memory-stiff devices and integrating them with advanced CMOS technology. He has published several journals and well-renowned international conferences papers. He is also author of a chapter on redox-based memory-stiff devices in Memory Stores and Memory-Stiff System book, published by Springer, New York in 2014. The technology breakthrough done by his group was recognized by the Economics magazine in 2016. Dr. Rana, welcome in our program. Please accept my apology if I have mispronounced any technical word that I'm not aware of, because I'm not a science student. That might be a reason. And then again, we have with us Dr. Waiz Karim. He is presently the global head of disruptive technologies at the Research and Development Division of Carl Zeiss Vision based in Ireland, in Germany. He completed BTech in Electronic and Communication Engineering from Jamia Millia Islamia in 2010. He then received the prestigious Erasmus Mundus scholarship from European Union for a triple degree master in optics and photonic engineering. He completed this MSc in 2012 from Karlsruhe Institute of Technology in Germany. In 2017, he received PhD in interdisciplinary science from ETH Zurich, Switzerland. During his time in Switzerland, he worked at the Swiss light source Synchrotron and Paul Scherrer Institute and was a guest scientist at Argonne National Lab in Chicago, USA. Once again, please excuse me if I have mispronounced any word. So, and then we have with us Engineer Mohammed Zafar Khan. He is currently the is engineer at Rhine Energy in Cologne, and he is also momentarily the president of our alumni chapter in of Jamia Millia Islamia in Germany. So I welcome you all, and I hope that Dr. Khan will resolve the camera issue with his computer. So meanwhile, let me start with Mr. Rana, who is the well-known fellow here. So, Dr. Rana, what is your opinion about the light of this day that we are
Okay.
celebrating?
Let me thank, first of all, the organization for extending this invitation to me. I really thank Mr. Jafar and Dr. Rizvi, who extended this invitation to me. It's a great pleasure to talk about today about the light and the importance of the life. Of course, without light, there is no life on the planet, and the light plays a very critical role in our existence. So today I'm going to throw some light on light. Yeah. So let me share you my slides, and then I can. How can I share my slide? Share screen. Dr. Rizvi, can you make sure that how do I share my slides with you?
I have no idea. Actually, you have to just see in the presentation. If you could have.
Do you see something now?
I see it. I see it.
So you see now my slides, yeah?
Yes, I have it here.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, today what I'm going to talk regarding what. Do you hear me correctly?
Yes, perfectly fine. No problem. Please carry on.
Okay. So once again, thanks for the organization for giving me the opportunity to talk about the significance of light on our life. So it's basically, first I'll introduce the biggest source of the light on this planet. You see, it's biggest source of the light on this planet is sun, and sun irradiate the light and heat, which makes possible life on the earth. And the sunlight takes about 8.3 minutes to reach on the earth. If I give you some estimation that's how much energy we receive from this the sun, it's about the trillion of watt of the solar energy strike on the earth continuously, and this energy is more 10,000 times more energy than the world need for our use for the human being. So just give you some statistical data over it. Every 2 minutes, the energy reach on the earth from the sun is equivalent to the whole annual energy we use for our humanity purpose. So see, so how much energy we are getting from the sun, and if we utilize this energy in a right way, I think we can solve so many problems on the planet. Such an example, I would say, global warming, CO2 emission, and these things. Now the question comes that okay, this is a technological aspect, but how the sun impact our life as on the living species. So just give you an overview that's importance of life on the human health. So light plays a major role in maintaining a good health. Without light, the people goes in depression, and many suicides happen. Just an example, I will give a northern Scandinavian country is such as Sweden, Norway, and Finland. And in a winter time, their suicide rates goes up because there is no enough sun in this country during the winter. And besides that, the sun cycle helps us to control our hormones released in the body and metabolism in the body. So therefore, the sunlight or the cycle of the sun is very important for maintaining the good health. So the second thing is that without light, we get depressed, so that the light in our environment has a positive impact on our mood and influence the chemical reaction in our body. So if we have a proper sunlight, it can reduce our emotional problem by having the right light on our body. So lack of light, we can go in depression. It can produce the wrong hormones. It's just give an example. Without sunlight, we don't synthesize, our body don't synthesize the vitamin D, and it gives the bad impact on our metabolism, and it can cause obesity and tiredness and these things. So the point is that how can we use the sunlight for our application? And as being a technologist, I'll propose that the photovoltaic can play, or is already playing, a central role in the future shape of the sustainable and clean power production. So the point is that can the photovoltaic contribute significantly for the need of our supply? That's one question. I try to address it today. And yes, I would say definitely the photovoltaic technology is significantly improving not only the human need, but also the climate change and CO2 emission problems as well. Just give you a overview of the case study of the Germany, how the renewable energy is being used in our daily life. So in Germany, the total energy of the total energy consumption, 45%, about 45% energy we use as a renewable energy, and out of this 45%, photovoltaic produce about 9.2% of the total energy. So you could imagine that the photovoltaic energy consumption or the production is going steadily linear fashion, and as the time comes, that the production of this photovoltaic energy from the solar cell will definitely go up, and it's going. So now the question is that the cost plays a very important role in our daily life. So how the cost is going with this one. So this is an overview of how the cost of the solar power energy is going down. If you look at the price of the solar energy in 2006, it was about 4,500 euro per kilowatt, and which has exponentially decreased to about 1,000 euro per kilowatt. So that means that our technology or our scientists are working. How can we utilize this huge amount of energy which we are getting free of cost? Because this is a process we get through our celestial positions. and without that we could not survive. But now the point is that it's a job of our scientists and technologists which can improve the technology so that we can use this solar energy for our applications. So just giving an example, that the photovoltaic electricity in Germany is being produced as a cost of about 4 cents per kilowatt. 4 cent means about like a 3.5 rupee per kilowatt. So it's but this cost in future will go down and down as well. And I believe that the solar energy production can play a crucial role for the economy of developing nations such as India. So my conclusion of the talk today is that the sunlight is essential for the living organism on this planet. Without the sunlight, we would not have existed. So the second thing is that solar energy can solve the energy crisis of the whole world, not only the developing and developed world. And the production of the solar energy will reduce the CO2 emission and the global warming. And lastly, I would like to thank the organization for listening me very carefully. And if you have any question, I'm open to the discussion.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Lara. That was very enlightening. Before I go to another speaker, I would like to know, in terms of India, that you were talking about we have seen that Germany is investing a lot and giving subsidy for the solar energy. And I know many people that they have in their houses the system. The government is appreciably, they are doing very, very, very good in terms of subsidy.
Yeah.
And so the country like India, I mean, how they can cope with such subsidy while they have problems for the basic communities, and then we are looking at the cost that is very high. So what do you suggest for a country like India to come up with such a plan for that it can be affordable for the people?
Okay, of course, if you look at the subsidy, definitely the developed country can give more subsidies to the certain sector, and of course if you compete with the developing world, it would be hard. But I would say, okay, if we invest in our R&Ds developing a photovoltaic solar energy, that would help us to generate more and more. I would say electricity through the photovoltaic power. Of course, if you export the technology from the developed world, then it's very expensive. But I just give an example today. This COVID vaccine. If you would have exported all the COVID vaccine from the developing world, it would have been hard to supply this COVID vaccine to everybody. But we have developed, or the India has developed its own vaccine, and they could supply to the whole population without extra headed costs. So in this way, so if we develop our own technology for this photovoltaic generation, I think we can reduce this cost much lower than any developing world.
So thank you very much, Dr. Rana. Indeed, we need to focus more on research and development, which we are lacking. And that's why we have Brendan, people like you, intelligent people, scientists, researchers. They are moving to another countries because we have less fundings for the research. So I think hopefully that soon India, they are investing more on the research and development, and hopefully that they will do it more.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your talk. Let's go to, before I go to Dr. Professor Khan, let me take Dr. Waiz Karim, another fellow from Germany, and then we will go to, after that we will go to Professor Khan. So
right.
Dr. Karim.
Thank you again, once again from my side as well for inviting me for this session. I'm very, very glad to participate and also, be a part, again, be in touch with some of the alumni of Jamia as well. So today I'm going to talk about, let me just share my screen for a second.
Just add it to
yes,
StreamYard, then I will add it. Yes, you have it.
All right. So do you see my screen now?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so today I bring a little bit different perspective on light and its applications coming from an industry, right? So I represent, I'm basically now part of Carl Zeiss in Germany. And as some of you may already know, Zeiss is the leading company in the world in R&D and product development in optics and optoelectronics. So I would like to just give a holistic view and not focus on one topic about applications of light in general, and how it's important also for industrial applications which impact us on a day-to-day basis. So as I've also already introduced, so I've been in the field of optics and photonics since the last 10, 12 years. And starting from obviously as a student of optics and photonics, and now leading a team which is developing new technologies based on optics and light-based technologies. So before I begin, just very quickly to give again what Zeiss has been involved as a company in the International Day of Light. So as some of you already know, May 16th is the anniversary for the first successful operation of laser in 1960. And so, this was the International Year of Light was celebrated about 6 years back, where Zeiss played a major role across the world. We had a lot of, sessions on that. And this year, we basically also, decided to, participate in the International Day of Light on the May 16th. And I'm very happy to be, able to contribute on my, 2 cents on this topic. So what I'm going to talk about is that light in general, it's a constant companion for all of us, day in and day out, but it's visible, but it's also invisible. So there's a whole spectrum of light out there. And light means life in general. The secret to our existence is photosynthesis, as you all know, and where the green leaves, the chlorophyll helps the plant to make use of the energy contained in it, and provide, energy contained in the sunlight, and then we get carbon dioxide and water, and we get oxygen out of that, right? But what you need to understand is that the whole spectrum of light, there's different applications that come into play. So light is compromised from X-rays, starting from X-rays to infrared. The whole spectrum of light is what we call the optical spectrum. And what we see is not the only part of the spectrum. What we see is the visible part of the spectrum, which is obviously from blue to red. So, however, what you see is the visible part of the spectrum. And now let's give one example from each of this part of the spectrum, right? If you look at the infrared part of the spectrum, this is highly, highly critical for data transfer. So the speed of the light is incredible, and the speed of the light is what we can use to transfer the data, simultaneously encoding data within light, in the infrared light, in the different wavelengths and independent channels. And these light signals are then guided very efficiently by glass fibers over very long distances from point A to point B across the world, right? Then let's move on to the visible part. So visible part is not only photosynthesis, but also if you look at, take inspiration from nature, like, the wings of butterfly, you see that, the wings of butterfly have an optical effect. And those are governed by the nanostructures on the surface, which provide an optical effect, which human right now in the R&D, they're trying to replicate. Now, if you go to the UV part of the spectrum, ultraviolet light is highly critical for semiconductor industry. So if you look at the chips that are manufactured right now across the world, they're basically very small in the dimensions. These tiny dimensions are achieved because of the fact that we have learned now how to harness light, harness extreme UV light, and create these microstructures on the surface. Then I guess laser science, across the spectrum of light, you have lasers at different wavelength of light that enable a wide range of applications. In addition, what we have been able to do now, the humankind over the last 20, 30 years, is that we've been able to build light sources like these. So these are called synchrotron light sources, which generate high radiance light that can see very, very small structures, and that helped in basically resolving a lot of issues in biology, a lot of issues in material science. You can write small patterns as well, and it helps also doing elemental and chemical analysis. Now, looking into a company like Zeiss, what does Zeiss do with light? So just to give you an impression about the different segments, we have a segment called semiconductor manufacturing technology. So in the semiconductor manufacturing technology, we build optics that enable all the fabrication of microstructures, devices that you see across the world. So these optics go into tools that manufacture all the chips that you have on your smartphones, have on your mobile phone, laptops, and elsewhere. Then there's a next division called industry quality and research. In the industry quality and research, basically we build machines which enable that you can look into, across industries, whether it's the automotive industry, whether it's the solar cell industry, to look and investigate into a non-destructive manner all these different, advanced instruments. You need light sources, lasers, you need and X-rays. And this is where we build machines that enable visualization, 3D visualization of all the different, in different industries. In parallel, what we also build is microscopes, right? So across the spectrum, from UV light to visible light, we have different microscopes that are available in the market, from scanning electron microscopes to a normal optical microscope that enable advanced R&D research across the world. Then the next one comes the medical technology field. In the medical technology field, obviously, then you have microsurgery devices and ophthalmic devices as well. So if you go to a doctor and look into, how do you do the operations and all the different devices that you would want to have, all of them are basically the investigation is done using optical devices as well. And then the last one is the consumer market segment, where you have the vision care and the ophthalmic products. So vision care is basically the eyeglasses that we wear. It may seem very trivial that the eyeglasses are not very advanced optics, but it really is. There's a lot of research going on in terms of what eyeglasses can enable. And I will touch upon some points in the next slide as well. So as I said, so Zeiss has products across the range, starting from the UV, some ion beams using scanning electron microscope for doing deep analysis of material science, to extreme UV systems, which enable chip manufacturing, to eyeglasses for visible light, and surgical instruments as well. So now focusing a little bit on eyeglasses, because this is something that we wear on a day-to-day basis. What type of innovations can be done here? But before I go into that, I would like to talk about what Zeiss, which is using light for all its product, optics for all its product, how has that been able to contribute across the world? So if you look at the contributions, 36 Nobel Prize winners across the world have been using Zeiss technology, Zeiss systems, to enable the scientific progress in the papers and publications and patents that they've been able to publish, which has led to the Nobel Prizes. And as I said, the chip manufacturing across laptops, phones, they all need microchips, and fabrication of these microchips require advanced extreme UV lithography systems. And the optics for these lithography systems, 80% of the optics that is generated across the world is coming from Zeiss. So Zeiss is behind the scene of a lot of things that you see across the world right now. Then 50 Zeiss camera lenses were sent to space. So to space to look at all the different planets in different space missions. Most of the advanced top-end camera systems are from Zeiss. 10 Oscar-nominated movies in 2019 were filmed with Zeiss Cine lenses. And more than 300,000, so it's actually 300,000 surgical procedures every year are carried out by Zeiss systems itself. Now, I would not go into the detail of innovation in eyeglasses because of lack of time, but I just give you a couple of examples on what the innovation we are doing in eyeglasses, for example. So here you see that we address need of people by creating solutions. For example, driving at night, or now looking at the digital world. So if you drive at night, you would see glare sometimes of cars that are coming from in front of you. How do we resolve that? So Zeiss Eye Glasses, we have been able to build in technologies that can cut the glare of incoming traffic. Same goes with, now that we are looking into screens a lot, how do we evolve that, we cut the blue light so it helps us sleep better and help us in the health of the eye. In addition, there is a UV protections eyeglasses as well that Zeiss have recently launched, which I'll just walk through this. So this is an example showing the Zeiss Drive Safe glasses for more relaxed and safer driving under all light conditions. So if you look here, you'll see a lot of glare that you see on your eye, right? And with a special type of optics, with a special type of reflective coatings that we have, made onto the eyeglasses, we are able to remove the glare. And then when you look through the eyeglasses at this part, you see that there is just no glare coming in. So it's part of how you manipulate the light, how you play with the light to, again, with a device as simple as eyeglasses, to make sure that you do not get the glare. The second example is about UV protection. So in the past, to have UV protection, one needed to wear sunglasses to have a UV protection that you can cut wavelengths below 400 nanometers. But Zeiss now has made a technology within the clear lenses that enable UV protection up to 400 nanometers. So basically, you do not need to wear a sunglass. Our standard clear lenses provide sunglasses level UV protection. And the reason why it is required is because, as some of you know, there are advantages of light. There are advantages of UV light, as I said, for chip manufacturing. But for a normal day-to-day life, it is quite harmful because, it can damage your retina. It can lead to macular degeneration, and one needs to work on that. And this is where the example that we are showing here, that UV radiation to eye, it can be harmful. And that's the reason why this is just an example showing a lady, a photograph of a lady taken with a normal camera and a photograph of a lady taken with a UV sensitive camera. You see that how UV light can also damage your skin on the long run. And the same happens also inside your eye. And this is the reason why our team, we worked that how do we provide UV protection, sunglass level UV protection on clear eyeglasses. So we build in some dyes that absorb the UV light that enable you to see, in the daylight without damaging your eye itself. So I think I wanted to give you an overview of, different topics that, what industry is trying to address using light, and giving an impression that light is necessary across the domain, from telecommunication to semiconductor to chip manufacturing to as simple as an eyeglass. So that's all from my side today. And thank you all for giving me the opportunity here.
Thank you very much, Dr. Karim. That was very informative about Carl Zeiss and the light. Actually, I have been to Jena. I studied in Erfurt, and I have also seen the building where the Carl Zeiss they founded this company. So that was very informative. Thank you very much. Now let me go to Professor Zahid Husain Khan for his presentation. Professor Khan, please.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to this wonderful event of International Day of Light 2021. It was a pleasure to talking to Dr. Waiz Karim a few weeks back because when I joined PhD program in Aligarh Muslim University in spectroscopy, we used the first spectrometer, which was from Carl Zeiss Jena. So we know that, you see, in optics, Carl Zeiss is one of the best manufacturers in the world. Now, instead of, you see, showing slides, now I would prefer to speak, without slide, and I will go to the history of light itself. Right from beginning, first of all, when the question of celebrating International Year of Light was put forward by 5 countries, and they were very small countries like Uganda and so on, apart from Russia. Russia was also one of them. So it was decided that 2015 should be celebrated as the International Year of Light. And it is a reason for 2015 was because 1,000 years back, it was an Arab scientist, Ibn al-Hasan, whose Latinized name is Al-Hazin. He did a lot of research work while he was staying in Cairo. He was born in Iraq, present-day Iraq, in Basra, and he was an engineer and mathematician by profession. And he gave the idea that he can build a dam on River Nile so that flood could could be avoided. And the Khalifa at that time in Egypt was Al-Hakim. He became a Khalifa at the age of 14 years, and he invited Ibn al-Haytham to come to Egypt and build the dam. But when actually he tried to, it took it took a lot of time in those days to go from Iraq to Egypt. But finally, when he surveyed the entire area, he found that building a dam is not possible, and he was very afraid what to do now. So he pretended that he has become a mad, and he was fearing that he might be killed by Al-Hakim. So he was, you see, imprisoned in his own house. That is house arrest. And now, you see, the genius of Ibn al-Haytham was that, you see, from the windows, the light coming to his house, he did a lot of experiments on reflection of light, interference of light, and so many other things. He did such a large amount of work, research work, in about 10 years' time, because he was in Egypt. He came to Egypt in 1011, and he remained in captivity till 1021, till the Khalifa died. And then he produced 5 volumes of books, which are called Kitab al-Manazir, the Book of Optics. And the Book of Optics became so popular that it was translated in those days in Italian, in Latin, and so on, and many other languages. Like, you see, some information is also available in German also. So when that book, you see, reached the Europeans, they found that it was very, very useful, and it took almost 600 years until Newton came, and for 600 years, no important work on light could be done. He has done so much of work. So one of the greatest work which Ibn al-Haytham did was, he first of all found out, he discarded all the previous theories of light vision. How do we see objects? Because earlier, you see, Greek philosophers, they thought that we are able to see some object when a small particle from object, they come and strike our eyes. This was the general concept in those days. And that was the reason why some people were afraid of seeing their own images in the mirror, because they thought that some particle from their bodies they are losing. So finally he said, no, it is not due to particles, but when light strikes certain surface, it is reflected to the eye, and then we are able to see it. And that was the first successful theory of vision that was given by Ibn al-Haytham, and that was accepted by the whole scientific community in those days. And one more thing I would like to mention, that around in the 8th century, there was a Khalifa, Abbasid Caliphate was there in Baghdad. And in those days, you see, Baghdad was one of the greatest centers of education and research in sciences. What Mamun said, Mamun, the Caliph of those times, he invited different philosophers, scientists from different regions of the world, including India, and of course from Greece and so many other countries. And all the books were translated into Arabic. Not only translated, but they did further work on sciences. They extended whatever information and science was available. And in every field, almost they excelled. for almost 600 years, that is from 8th century to 14th century. I mean, these Arabic scientists, they were on the top of the entire world. Normally, if you go through the textbooks in European textbooks, they say that this period is the dark period. Of course, this is the dark period for the Europeans because they did not know anything about us. They did not know much about light. It was only because of the books that was translated back into Latin and so many other languages from Arabic that you see Europe got the flavor of science, and then Renaissance. It was the time of Renaissance that is started. For example, I can mention that you might be knowing that Ibn al-Haytham is known as the father of optics. Similarly, there are so many fathers of surgery. For example, in Spain, these Arabs ruled for 500 years, and they started surgery. In the Central Asia, there were so many other many scientists, many mathematicians who became father of algebra. Because, for example, everyone knows that this algorithm comes from the name of Al-Khwarizmi, who is known as the father of algebra. So, that period, 600 years period, was golden period of science in the Arab Islamic world. So that was the main reason why 2015 was selected as the International Year of Light, because 1,000 years had completed. And that is the reason why when International Year of Light was celebrated in different parts of the world, what UNESCO did, they started Ibn al-Haytham campaign also. There was Ibn al-Haytham International Committee also. Apart from that, there was a 1001 inventions that was written by some scientist engineer in basically he was born in Iraq, but he is settled in UK, and he was also part of that UNESCO in that case. Now, the importance of International Year of Light was such that, in the opening ceremony that took place in Paris on January 19, 2015, 4 Nobel laureates participated in that. Starting from, the Egyptian, famous Egyptian Nobel laureate, who discovered nano lasers for the first time. Similarly, when the closing session of the International Year of Light took place in Merida city of Spain, for 2 Nobel laureates attended. So that was one of the greatest most successful International Year of Lights that UNESCO has ever celebrated. And that was the reason why it was decided in 2017, it was decided that now we should have International Day of Light. Now, and it was decided that by UNESCO that from 2018 onwards, we should celebrate International Day of Light. And the day was chosen as the day when the first laser was invented or demonstrated. And that was by T.H. Maimon. First ruby laser was developed. So that is the history of, brief history of the, International Year of Light, and brief information about why 16 May was chosen as the International Day of Light. Now, since International Day of Light is being celebrated every year, and if you see the logo of the International Year of Light, there are 16 colors which show the sustainable development goals of the United Nations. Similarly, if you see the International Day of Light also, you see all the colors of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations are found there, because it is so important. It covers entire sciences. Not only sciences, it also covers architecture. Architecture. It covers, culture. It covers music. It covers environment. It covers everything in science and anything which has to do something with the light. So that was the importance of International Day of Light. Now, in 2019, illuminating light, illuminating education was the theme of the International Day of Light that was celebrated in throughout the world. But you see, that was opening ceremony took place in the International Center for Theoretical Physics. And because International Center of Theoretical Physics was chosen as one of the best institutes of the UNESCO for research. So illuminating education was chosen because of the reason that, because of the coming of internet, which is also due to the because of the use of laser, that it was possible to spread education. It spread education not only through conventional means, but through online education and so on, which has become very, very important these days in the times of pandemic. Coming to International Day of Light 2021, I would like to mention that we also initiated some programs. One program we initiated that I proposed, and I gave a proposal to UNESCO that we should have, we should connect, we should have a program on culture, poetry, because culture and poetry are also part of the, part of the light, because without light we don't have any, we don't have any fascination. So UNESCO on the basis of that, we organized it very successfully. Then after that, we organized another event, which was on light and vision, in which a lecture was, a webinar was developed on application of lasers in surgery, eye surgery, and in curing eye ailments. And that was also with the help of some ophthalmologists in Aligarh Muslim University. One more theme on which I had given a proposal, and that was accepted by the chairman of the International Committee, that was, the journey of light from sunrise to sunset. And it covers all the phenomena that are taking place in the sky, in the atmosphere, in the sky, and on the earth. Because on the earth, the earth is so beautiful. We have flowers, we have forest, we have all different types of colors, we have ocean and so on. In the atmosphere, we have rainbows, we have different types of, when there is lightning, then also there is light. So we explain why all these things are happening, because that is also very, very important to know for everyone. So I think, and one more thing, that was done in the 2021 International Day of Light, that is, UNESCO started a campaign on, that campaign was related to bringing science to people. For example, there were so many superstitions during the COVID era that people did not believe, you see, in vaccines, and there were so many rumors. So they started a campaign on Trust in Science campaign, and a pledge was they had a pledge that was signed, I think, by more than 6,000 people from Nobel laureate, starting from Nobel laureate to different scientists and so on. So that was also very, very important. Now, today's program is important because, you see, now we are going to close on 30th of November of this year. This International Day of Light 2021 is going to be closed. And from December onwards, now there will be preparation for International Day of Light 2022. So let's say goodbye to ideal 2021 and welcome to 2020, ideal 2022. So with this brief remark about the history of light and light science, I should finish this lecture, and thank you all. Thank you all for listening to, patiently. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Khan. That was very informative, especially the history. Now we have with us Engineer Mohammad Zafar Khan, who himself is engineer working at Ryanair Energy and providing lights to the many households in Cologne. So, Zafar Bhai, what is your take about it?
जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। बहुत बहुत आप लोगों का शुक्रिया कि आपने जो है ना कि ये इंटरनेशनल डे ऑफ लाइट का जो फंक्शन ऑर्गेनाइज किया और हम सब लोगों को इसमें इनवाइट किया। तो मेरा जाहिद भाई से एक सवाल मालूम करना था कि जो इंटरनेशनल डे जो लाइट का ऑर्गेनाइज किया जा है, तो इसमें ये है कि हम थर्ड वर्ल्ड के कंट्रीज के हैं, उनकी जो है जो पुअर कंडीशन है लाइट्स वगैरह की, उसमें किस तरीके से मदद कर सकते हैं। तो अगर आपके पास टाइम हो तो इसका जवाब देना। दूसरा ये है कि इसमें
जी, तो इसमें मदद इस तरह कर सकते हैं कि लाइट से मुताल्लिक जो है छोटे छोटे एक्सपेरिमेंट कहीं भी किए जा सकते हैं। मैं एग्जांपल दूंगा, अगर विलेजेस में कोई रहता है और वो उसके पास डिफरेंट टाइप के वो सोर्सेज ऑफ लाइट हैं, उनका वो उसके हेल्प से वो एक कंपैरेटिव स्टडी कर सकता है और लोगों को बता सकता है कि मतलब इस लाइट से क्या वो हो सकता है। दूसरी बात ये है कि चूंकि लाइट हर जगह मौजूद है, तो हम पुअर कंट्रीज को, पुअर मतलब नेशंस को हेल्प करने के लिए कोई मतलब ऐसी वो नहीं है। लेकिन जैसे कि पहले और दूसरे लेक्चर में विकास राणा साहब ने और वाइज करीम साहब ने बताया कि ये सोलर एनर्जी जो है वो काफ़ी चीपर होती जा रही है। एक चीज़ मैं बता दूं कि आजकल इंडियन गवर्नमेंट भी सब्सिडी काफ़ी दे रही है इसमें सोलर एनर्जी के लिए। विलेजेस वगैरह में तो इस पे बहुत सब्सिडी एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट को मिल रहा है। बहुत जगहों पे लोगों ने घरों पे अपने लगाना शुरू कर दिया है। और यही नहीं, जो लोग ये फिशरीज के उसमें बिजनेस में हैं, वो लोग भी अपना वो यूज़ कर रहे हैं उसको, वही वो ट्यूबवेल वगैरह उससे चलाते हैं, यूज़ करते हैं, और गवर्नमेंट बहुत ही सस्ता उनको देती है। मेरा ख्याल है 30% शायद कॉस्ट लेती होगी, इससे ज़्यादा नहीं। तो काफ़ी मतलब सब्सिडी मिली हुई है, इस तरह मतलब चीपर उनको मिला हुआ है। तो लाइट के ऊपर तो कोई भी मतलब एक्सपेरिमेंट कर सकते हैं कहीं भी रह के, लेकिन लाइट का इस्तेमाल जो है आजकल विलेजेस में भी होने लगा है। ये चीज़ मैं बता दूं, मैंने खुद देखा है, खुद हमारे ही विलेज में कम से कम ट्यूबवेल वगैरह ऐसे लगे हैं जहाँ से वो फिश पॉन्ड्स हैं वहाँ पानी वो सप्लाई करते हैं, और घरों में भी लगा रखा है। लेकिन आम अभी भी बहुत नहीं है जितना कि होना चाहिए।
जी, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया जाहिद भाई। तो जैसे विकास राणा भाई ने बताया था कि भाई जो है अगर आप सोलर एनर्जी का यूज थर्ड वर्ल्ड में इंडिया में किया जाए तो उससे वहाँ की जो है आप जो है पॉल्यूशन भी कम कर सकते हैं और वहाँ उनका जो है लोगों की लाइट की जो डिमांड है वो बहुत चीप और सस्ती उसको आप दूर कर सकते हैं। और आपने जो पूरी हिस्ट्री बताई लाइट की वो भी बहुत ही इंटरेस्टेड थी क्या लाइट का डेवलपमेंट अरब कंट्रीज में किस तरीके से हुआ था। दूसरा हमारे करीम भाई ने जो साइज इकॉन की जो आपने बताया कि इसके लाइट के क्या क्या एप्लीकेशन है, किस तरीके से आप जो है ना इसका डिफरेंट एप्लीकेशन में इसका यूज करते हैं, तो ये भी बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सब्जेक्ट रहा था लाइट के लिए। और सबसे बड़ी खुशी की ये बात है कि लाइट जो है ना कि वो हर इंसान को जरूरत है। और लाइट का हमारा तो ये है, जब हम छोटे छोटे बच्चे थे तो हम इंडिया के याद है मुझे, अगर बत्ती चली जाती तो अगरबत्ती लगा के, मुझे खुद 12वीं क्लास का मैंने एग्जाम दिया था, वो हमेशा रात में जो है बत्ती नहीं होती तो वो सुबह जो है बच्चे वो जो है अगर बत्ती जला के मोमबत्ती जला के या वो लालटेन वगैरह होती उन्हें जला के पढ़ा करते थे। लेकिन अब तो खैर सिचुएशन काफी अच्छी हो गई, बड़े बड़े शहरों में तो ये भी है कि ब्लैक आउट लाइट वगैरह का नहीं होता। और बस यही है कि जो हम लोग ये लाइट का जो डेवलपमेंट है जो कर रहे हैं, जो इसका यूज है उसका ये है कि सोलर एनर्जी एक ऐसी है कि फ्यूचर में आने वाली जो है वक्त में इसका काफी ज्यादा डेवलपमेंट होगा और बहुत चीप एंड बेस्ट जो है ना, तो वो लाइट के इस एप्लीकेशन का इसका यूज किया जा सकता है। और साथ साथ में जो है शबी भाई का बहुत बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि इन्होंने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से इस फंक्शन को ऑर्गेनाइज किया। और सभी जो लेक्चर्स जिन लोगों ने दिए उनका जो है बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ। और आप किसी को कोई क्वेश्चन हो किसी से भी करने हो तो आप मत एक ओपन क्वेश्चंस के लिए, अगर आप विकास भाई से, डॉक्टर जाहिद हुसैन भाई से या करीम भाई से कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो आप कर सकते हैं।
जी, मेरा एक सवाल है आप तीनों हजरात से, जो प्रोफेसर खान हैं और डॉक्टर राना है और डॉक्टर करीम, आप तीनों से मेरा एक सवाल है, क्योंकि बहुत सारी चीज़ें, मैं एक लेमैन हूँ, मुझे टेक्निकली ज़्यादा नॉलेज नहीं लाइट के बारे में। आंखों का नूर और जो आप जिस नूर की बात कर रहे थे वो नूर हम जानते हैं, तो रोशनी की बात जानते हैं। जो हासिल हुसूल है यानी कि इस डिस्कशन का, वो मेरी अभी तक जो समझ में आया है कि भी किस तरह से रोशनी का इम्पोर्टेंस है हमारी लाइफ में, ज़िंदगी में। तो मेरा सवाल ये है कि अभी इंडिया के हवाले से, सोलर एनर्जी के हवाले से बात हम कर रहे थे और कार्ल ज़ाइस के हवाले से कि बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं, बहुत सारे इक्विपमेंट्स हैं जो वाकई बहुत मददगार भी हैं। तो ऐसा क्या होना चाहिए, हम लोग या ऐसा क्या कर सकते हैं कि जिससे कि हम जो लाइट के मुतालिक कोई एक ऐसा ऐसा प्रपोजल कुछ हम कर सकते हैं जिससे कि सोलर एनर्जी को लेकर कुछ लोगों के अंदर अवेयरनेस बढ़ाई जाए और उसके ऊपर थोड़ा सा रिसर्च और डेवलपमेंट के हवाले से, जैसे कार्ल ज़ाइस है या आपकी फॉर्चून है यूनिक के अंदर, तो क्यों ना कोई जामिया के साथ, स्टूडेंट्स के साथ मिलकर कुछ ऐसा कोई प्रपोजल लाया जाए कि जिससे कि ये आम लोगों तक भी चीज़ें पहुंच सके और थोड़ा बहुत मुहैया हो सके। तो इसके बारे से सवाल थोड़ा सा वेग है, लेकिन कहने का मकसद ये है कि हम क्या कर सकते हैं हिंदुस्तान के लिए इस सिलसिले में अपने अपने तौर पर।
तो अगर मतलब मैं अगर इसमें इस मौजू पे थोड़ा बताऊं तो मेरे नज़रिए से इंडिया में लाइट की एजुकेशन भी अभी थोड़ी मिसिंग है। मुझे याद है कि मैं 12 साल पहले जब मैंने ऑप्टिक्स और फोटोनिक्स एजुकेशन के लिए मैंने अब्रॉड जाने सोचा, ऑब्वियसली कमिंग फ्रॉम ए बैकग्राउंड ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स पढ़ के, तो थोड़ी सी सरप्राइज थे लोग कि भाई व्हाट इज दिस फील्ड, इस फील्ड का क्या मकसद है। यू नो टिपिकली इंडिया में अभी भी ये ऑप्टिक्स एंड फोटोनिक्स जैसी फील्ड ये बहुत ही फिजिक्स डिपार्टमेंट में वो भी एक थोड़े कोने में है, इसकी अवेयरनेस एज एन सब्जेक्ट भी कम है। अब यूरोप में देखें, यूएस में देखें, तो इवन इंजीनियरिंग डिपार्टमेंट्स में, अप्लाइड साइंस डिपार्टमेंट्स में, यू नो जहाँ पर ये मशीन्स बनाते हैं, इक्विपमेंट्स बनाते हैं, वहाँ पर काफ़ी लाइट बेस्ड टेक्नोलॉजीज पर लाइट की यू नो डिग्रीज हैं, अप्लाइड ऑप्टिक्स की डिग्रीज होती हैं। तो हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम में भी लाइट बेस्ड जो डिग्रीज हैं उसको लाना होगा। ये एक थोड़ी सी अभी भी मिसिंग है, अब आ रही है, मैंने देखा है कुछ यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में, लेकिन अभी भी वो बहुत ही कन्फाइंड डिपार्टमेंट्स में है। और दूसरी बात, जहाँ तक इंडिया के हवाले से जो इम्पैक्ट करने की बात है, तो मैं खुद भी अभी कोशिश कर रहा हूँ। अभी जैसे अभी रिसेंटली ये हुआ कि लास्ट 5-10 साल में चाइना में कार्ल ज़ाइस जैसी कंपनी ने काफ़ी एक्सपेंड किया R&D एस्पेक्ट्स, वहाँ पे यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के साथ भी काम करना शुरू किया है। यूरोप में, US में तो था ही, अब चाइना में ये काफ़ी वाइड स्प्रेड हो गया है। तो मैंने अभी 2 साल पहले, 1 साल पहले से प्रपोज करना शुरू किया है कि इंडिया में भी ये जो चाइना में जिस तरह से इसको लेके चल रहे हैं, क्योंकि चाइना में आप फोटोवोल्टाइक्स भी देखें तो उसकी बहुत वाइड स्प्रेड यूज़ है, बहुत ही लो कॉस्ट में अवेलेबल है मार्केट में। उसी तरह R&D एस्पेक्ट्स भी बहुत से अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हैं। तो इंडिया में मैंने अभी प्रपोज किया था कि बैंगलोर में जाइस के हेडक्वार्टर्स हैं, तो वहाँ पर एक R&D डिपार्टमेंट शुरू किया जाए। तो वो 1 साल पहले मैंने प्रपोजल डाला था, अभी वो बात चल रही है। अगर वो कंफर्म हो जाती है तो मैं स्टार्ट करने वाला हूँ छोटी सी R&D डिपार्टमेंट, जिसमें फिर वहाँ की यूनिवर्सिटीज़ को लिंक करूँगा, वहाँ के स्टूडेंट्स को वहाँ से कोशिश करूँगा कि पहले जाइस बैंगलोर में हायर करें, उसके बाद फिर अगर ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड उसको अगर मतलब डिस्पैच करना है तो कर सकें। तो ज़रूरी है कि ऑप्टिकल, बिकॉज इंडिया में क्या है ना कि सॉफ्टवेयर में फोकस है, R&D कोर सेक्टर्स में, स्पेशली लाइट बेस्ड टेक्नोलॉजीज में आपको थोड़ा सा हार्डवेयर डेवलपमेंट भी चाहिए, तो वो अभी मिसिंग है। तो विद टाइम एजुकेशन चाहिए, साथ साथ फिर कुछ इंडस्ट्रीज को आना होगा, उनको थोड़ा सा अवेयरनेस बढ़नी होगी, तो फिर बच्चे भी उसमें जाएंगे और ये धीरे धीरे एक्सपैंड करेगा।
आपको मैंने ये सवाल आप इसलिए पूछा क्योंकि जाहिर सी बात है, टॉक्स तो है, हर चीज़ होती है, बात भी होती है, लेकिन अगर उसका कुछ नतीजा निकल रहा है, क्योंकि मैं जानता हूँ एक सीमेंस में सुल्तान हैदर साहब, उन्होंने भी जामिया इंजीनियरिंग की है और वो हेड करते हैं इस टाइम एक डिपार्टमेंट है उनका, जो नए नए आइडियाज़ आते हैं, इनोवेटिव टेक्नोलॉजीज़ को लेकर अवार्ड भी देते हैं। जामिया से और इंडिया से काफ़ी सारे स्टूडेंट्स आए, उनको उन्होंने प्रमोट किया और बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो रिसर्च के मामले में बाकी लोगों के भी जाके इंडिया में वापस काम किया। तो आप एक ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म पर हैं, आप दोनों खास तौर से, तो कुछ ऐसा कोई भी एक ऐसा प्रपोजल जिससे कि एक दो स्टूडेंट्स भी अगर हमारे वहाँ पर फ़ायदा उठा सकते हैं किसी भी यूनिवर्सिटी में कार्ल ज़ाइस के हवाले से, क्योंकि हम सिर्फ और सिर्फ जो NGOs हैं हमारी काम कर रही हैं बाहर की, उनका सोशल सेक्टर पे तो रहता है, लेकिन रिसर्च के मामले में हम बहुत पीछे हैं। और यही वजह है कि अगर आप कुछ 2-4 हज़रात मिल के अगर कोई 1-2 स्टूडेंट्स को भी इस तरह की कोई टेक्नोलॉजी या कुछ उससे बेनिफिट्स हो सकता है लॉन्ग टर्म में, तो प्लीज़ इसके बारे में आप लोग ज़रूर सोचिए। और मेरी बतौर ख़ास दरख्वास्त है प्रोफेसर खान साहब से कि आपका लिंक है जामिया में बहुत ज़्यादा, तो आप कुछ इस तरह का कोई लेकर आए कि जो यहाँ पर लोग बैठे हुए रिसोर्सफुल, इनसे कुछ ना कुछ रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट के हवाले से कुछ फ़ायदा हो यूनिवर्सिटी को, खास तौर से इंडिया को, क्योंकि हमें ये सब चाहिए, हम पीछे नहीं रह सकते रिसर्च के मामले में। राना साहब, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे? कुछ हो सकता है ऐसा? आपका माइक ऑफ है।
Sure, I would like to share my opinion in a way. Let's say, you see, the Fortune Centrum Jülich is one of the leading research institute in photovoltaic research field. We have a completely different research institute which focus on the different research topic on photovoltaic, especially how can we improve the efficiency of the photovoltaic cell. And you see, we are working a various solar cells going from amorphous silicon to crystalline silicon and even gallium arsenide type of silicon, gallium arsenide type of technology, which can increase the efficiency by many fold. I give an example. Before we used to have like a 10% efficiency of solar cell, and now the Fortune Centrum Jülich has developed a technology which can increase this efficiency up to 27%. And of course, our research is not only about just developing a technology for solar cell efficiency, but even we develop the module which is needed for a solar cell. And there are several research positions available at Fortune Centrum. If someone is interested to do the research in a photovoltaic cell, I'll be pretty much happy to assist him as much as I can. So this is one way to help the younger generation. But besides that, I would say that what Dr. Karim has mentioned, that the industry and the education has to come together to enhance the awareness in the society regarding the use of light for a different application. Just an example of photovoltaic. But you see, the laser technology can be used in a different sector. Let's an example. Laser technology is widely used for medical application. You see, femto laser is widely used to do the cataract operation in the eyes. It's very popular in India as well. So this is just one example. But if you do the if you make a consortium of industry and the education system together, you can research, or you can think of many more application of the light. You see, today what Professor Zahid mentioned regarding the light, what Dr. Karim has mentioned with the light regarding this light, and what I say that without light there is no light. So the light has numerous applications in human life, and there is only way to improve the application of light is just to come together, to join the forces together in every regards, at a research institute level, at a industry level, at a government level. And at my end, I can assist anybody who is willing to do the research in the field of photovoltaic cell.
Okay, that is a good idea, good suggestion. Maybe I know some, you see, former students who are, you see, interested in such type of fields.
Okay,
and
wonderful.
I will get them connect with you.
Yeah, perfect, wonderful.
Yeah, that I think that will be more very useful.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you see, I find that Dr. Karim has said rightly that in India, they are giving more emphasis on software rather than hardware, unlike Germany. And in Germany, hardware is very, very important. Software is also important. And I remember, you see, when I was in the Free University Berlin, I asked a colleague of mine who was doing PhD, he was a German, from where did you study electronics? He said, no, Dr. Khan, we never study electronics, we do electronics. But here in India, still they're studying electronics. You see, so that is the problem. So nowadays, you see, photonics is being, widely being, studied in schools also, in European countries. But in India, you see, even at the undergraduate and postgraduate level, it is not being studied the way it should be studied. Lot of, you see, application, lot of instrument. You see, during the International Year of Light, I found a number of projects from different countries. Children, you see, from schools in Europe, they could use their mobile for environmental monitoring and so on. So everywhere they made use of a light. But here in India, you see, still there is no emphasis. They are just teaching theoretical optics and nothing more. Making a laser mirror is, is very, very difficult sometimes. It is being, you see, manufactured by some companies and so on, but quality is not as good as you can find in Europe and so on, in those countries. So a lot of emphasis has to be given on hardware.
That's why I said, Professor Khan, you have the resources in Jamia, you have the contacts in universities in India, and we have two gentlemen, those who are offering their services and whatever they can do. So at least we should use at least whatever we can. And the main purpose of this alumni chapter that we have established here in Germany is to provide a platform where we can do something for the students, for the research fellows, those who are coming over here. Because I come from Jamia, where from mass communication department, and whenever I see the history of mass communication, the equipments were donated from Canada, and then there are lots of technicians. They came over there and they taught. Now mass communication is one of the best. So that's how the universities grow. I mean, using the knowledge and the infrastructure from others. So that is why we are conducting such programs on our platform, that to encourage people, to engage people, and to come in contact for further progress of the universities and for further progress of our beloved country, India. That would be very, very nice if even a one person can have benefit of such contacts. So I thank you very, very much for your comments and your very insightful presentations. So hopefully we will do it again. And I thank again from the bottom of my heart on behalf of alumni chapter of Jamia Islami in Germany. So thank you, Professor Khan. Thank you, Dr. Rana, and thank you, Dr. Karim. And a special thank for Zafar Bhai for organizing and coordinating this live webinar. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you all from my side as well.
Thanks a lot.
एक मैं भी आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहता हूँ। और एक साहब ने लिखा है भी कैन यू एनीवन शेयर वेब सेमिनार लिंक ऑन फेसबुक, तो आप थोड़ा सा वेब सेमिनार का फेसबुक पर लिंक शेयर कर देना। आखिर में जी
and on YouTube, anybody can watch it.
आखिर में आप सब लोगों का मेरी तरफ से बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। और मुझे राणा साहब का ये जो स्लोगन बहुत पसंद आया कि विदाउट लाइट नो लाइफ, नो होम विदाउट वाइफ।
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You are totally right.
Okay.
चलिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। अस्सलाम वालेकुम। बहुत
बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहूँगा, खासतौर से ये जो पायनियर्स हैं इस प्रोग्राम के, ये शबी हुसैन साहब और जफर खान साहब, इन लोगों की कोशिशों से ये दूसरा प्रोग्राम जो है अलमनाई का हुआ है इस साल यहाँ पे। और इन्होंने इस पूरे ग्रुप को बहुत एक्टिव बना दिया, अपने ग्रुप को। और ग्रुप में मुझे नहीं मालूम कि और कितने लोग एक्टिव हैं, लेकिन ये दो लोग जो है 2 प्रोग्राम इस साल कर चुके हैं। एक तो सेंटनरी प्रोग्राम ऑफ जामिया मिलिया और ये दूसरा प्रोग्राम, उम्मीद है अगले साल भी जो है ये कोई प्रोग्राम करेंगे इंशाल्लाह। और मैं ये चाहूँगा कि अगली बार ये फोटोनिक्स के जब भी कोई करें वो जामिया के से कांटेक्ट हो, स्टूडेंट्स यहाँ के जब भी कांटेक्ट करें आपके अलुमनाई ग्रुप से, तो आप उनको कहिए कि फोटोनिक्स के ऊपर तवज्जो दें, क्योंकि फोटोनिक्स बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है। खासतौर से इंजीनियरिंग में बहुत ही, क्योंकि अगर इंजीनियर ना होते तो शायद वो लेज़र भी डेवलप ना होता, क्योंकि वो फिजिसिस्ट भी थे और इंजीनियर भी थे जिन्होंने किया है।
Thank you very much, and
thank you.
Sabir bhai, thank you so much for the invitation. It was a pleasure to know you.
Thank you again from my side as well to all of you. I think this was a very good discussion, and looking forward to staying in touch then. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Karim. Nice to learn about you.
Nice to know you as well. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
बाय बाय। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका।